And we are live. What's up, y'all? Me and Ty are just gonna talk a little grid while Grant's. I don't know what Grant is doing. He's been gone for like 30 minutes. We've been waiting for a long time. But yeah. So I think other triple touches will be fine. The butterfly ring muscle ups is something I didn't have.
Okay.
Like
How
I've
many
never
do you have to do?
like 8.
Oh wow.
But that's the most you're ever gonna have to do is that. And I did 3 in a row. And then I never got it again. So like I practiced for like 20 minutes, like failed a couple times, and then I got 3 in a row, and it felt great. Put the video on, like so I could take a video of it. Couldn't do it again. Like
Really?
yeah, the whip. I mean, you know what it is, but like the whip that it has on your arms, I'm very strict about it. You know what I mean? So like it's until I get very more flowy and graceful, it's not gonna be good.
That's why I don't know if I want to try it because it looks like it jolts your shoulders really bad.
Oh, it's bad. It's bad. My biceps hurt every time. And I was like, we're gonna have to get until you get flowy back, like just graceful, it's probably gonna whip you pretty hard. What up, Jack? You're on mute right now. I don't know if you're trying to be on mute, but that is a beautiful picture of yourself.
Great picture. A little late. Happy Veterans Day.
Yeah, maybe he's working and like, oh no, he's not working. All right, Grant, you ready to join us?
Here we go. Yes, let's do this.
By the way, that was like 110 seconds.
Oh, we are live. That's hilarious.
You said
Did you know you made us live? Wow. Anyway, hi, Jack. Good to see you. Anyway, so we've got religion and politics, but I did say CrossFit too, so let's start this off real quick.
Who'd y'all vote
for? Trump. I'm unashamed to say it. Ty, do you want to say it?
Yeah, I mean, you're
Missouri, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, they're red city. Well, I voted for Kamala.
No, he didn't. He's lying. I actually never heard you say it. I don't think. I just assumed it. Yeah.
Ty's the most conservative man I've ever met.
Oh, okay. That's crazy. Did what about for the last 2? Were you Trump for all 3 or no?
Ty's not old enough for that.
No, you, John.
Oh, this is the first time I actually voted.
This is the first. This is the first time I voted for Trump.
Well,
I did independent.
Period. Voted. So like I lived in Illinois the last one, and I was like, I had a bad mindset. I was like, it's not going to make a difference. Like, like whatever Chicago's doing, that's what we're doing, right? And then the one before that, I was like 20, so like I just didn't. I just didn't.
College.
Yeah.
I was like so excited to vote. I just turned 18. I was like,
heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not as mature as you, Ty. I was just living my life.
I think I was
excited about bench pressing 335, probably. That's what I was doing.
That's hilarious. Yeah, Ty was actually I told Ty I was probably going to vote independent again, and he sent me like 2 paragraphs. It was really good. I wouldn't say it swayed me, but it probably 1% inched me a little bit. And then at the last minute, I decided, I'm like, dude, I'm literally going to be staying up wanting Trump to win. And like, how can I be not wanting Kamala to win, wanting Trump to win, but then saying I'm not going to vote for him? It's just stupid, Yeah. I was kind of, the holdout was just some of the.
Where are you located, Grant?
Kansas. We were pretty solid red. I think 58.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 58, 59, 58%, I think. Very conservative.
Yeah, my reason for encouraging Grant to vote one way or the other was just like after Kamala had said at her rally to the guy who stood up and said Jesus is king.
You're at the wrong rally.
You're at the wrong rally.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to not be.
Dude, you should come out full-fledged. Yeah.
I was like, I just
for that
in office.
How retarded do you have to be to say that too? If you're Kamala as a politician, even if you don't,
stupid.
Right. I'm saying you are. Even if you don't care, even if you're straight evil, like if you're trying to get elected, you are neglected. Like you're straight up saying, I don't want any Christian to vote for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's a sizable population. I'm just
And
saying
there are
that's
Christians
dumb.
who would vote for her. There's like the people, I know a lot of very liberal people in California who if it was somebody other than Trump, it wouldn't even be a question, I don't think. But they all sort of drifted during COVID and all that. And for them, the most important issue became basically the 11th commandment, right? That thou shalt be nice, as it said. And the immigration stuff they felt was, we need to take care of these people and all that. We'll get into that in a second. It's one area I want to talk about.
It's
But
crazy that Sevon is so like he is and from California.
Yeah. How long ago was it that do you know, has he ever, I'm sure he has said, but do you know how long ago it was that he became conservative essentially, or like changed his mind?
I don't know. I feel like he's always been like that. I mean, he lived homeless just because he chose to live homeless
I didn't know
for over a year. Didn't have to. Like had money, not like rich money, but like had money.
Yeah.
And just lived homeless for a year just to see what life was like homeless.
Like
Crazy.
to save money or literally
just wanted to see what that was like.
Wow.
Like dude, like I don't see a Democrat doing that. I don't see a conservative doing that either, though. So like, I think that's just a him thing. I think he's just his own person,
I was super surprised so I called in on the election night one. I was super surprised that Taylor didn't vote for Trump. The last two, he was like me, voted independent. That's why I called in. I was like, this is crazy. And I wanted to kind of share my thoughts on, just why I had voted independent. And my whole thing is kind of that I feel like if we always just go with one of the two parties, we're always going to have the two candidates. And I don't think Trump's the best candidate. And I'm like, man, if 1 year something got disrupted and 6% of people went with a different candidate, it could change the whole system. But then again, I don't want that 6%, meaning Kamala wins over Trump. So now Vance would be great. I like Vance. He's from Ohio, where I'm from.
He's probably the odds-on favorite for 2028.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know who the Dems are. Would Kamala, have they said anything? Would she go again, or was it too much of a
dude? I mean,
I'd be crazy if she did.
Lost pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
right.
it's not. Gotta be careful a little bit because until January 20th, nothing's official. If they end up getting Trump on some of these federal charges, then it is in jeopardy. And I don't know if at that point it goes to Vance or if it goes to Kamala.
It can't go to somebody that we didn't elect.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So
wait, probably go to Vance.
Gotcha.
When was this? Say the first part.
All the charges they've had on him for 3 years now.
But yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen.
I don't know. But, I could see them taking action on him because it'll be the last chance they have until he's president.
I don't think they're going to be able to. Like, we run in 2 months or whatever, January, we run everything. Did we get the final numbers? Did you guys see if we got the final numbers on Congress, on the House?
I think they're both red. I don't know about
I know it was red, but I don't know if we actually
the Senate is red. It is 214 for the GOP and 206 for the Democrats. You need 218 to have majority. So there's still 4 left out there.
Okay, got it. Cool. Well, that's great. I
don't know when that gets wrapped up or not, but
so John, let's start with you. For you, yeah, this sounds terrible when I say does Christianity play anything into your vote? But I mean, I remember my first couple of votes and it just didn't. It influenced the way I thought about issues, but I didn't actually think about okay, as a Christian, what am I supposed to do here?
That's interesting. I feel like 100% it does for me.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. It has for the last 8 years for me. It didn't before that. Tell me about it. I want to know how it does.
I mean, abortion alone.
Yeah.
I don't think of which candidate is more sinful than the other. I think it's impossible to know. It's impossible to know. You don't know them. Even if you did know them, it's impossible to know. But which candidate's views or what they, say that they are running for align more with my Christian values or are less sinful, and one, I mean, abortion's the big topic, but you also got like, gay marriage and transgender and all this
Yeah.
stuff. You know what I mean? That's hard blue.
Yeah.
And that sways who I want to be running the country. I mean, like Trump's not calling for like a national ban for abortion either. It's not like he's
he's not
anti-abortion, but
would you rather that?
Kamala's like a countrywide, it's all good, and
yeah. So let me ask you this: knowing that it would be a lot harder to win and it'd be risky to actually start like reversing certain things with regards to abortion versus just saying, I'm not, like you said, the whole countrywide thing. Would you rather have a candidate who's even harder on abortion, even if it meant it was going to be harder to get in there, or are you satisfied?
If it meant they weren't going to win, then no.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I think he flipped Roe v. Wade.
Yeah, exactly.
He did that. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, I honestly like obviously that would be great. I would vote for him, but
yeah,
if it meant that he was going to lose because of that, then no, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Then it's impossible to say.
Ty, is the most important issue for you abortion, or would it be? I mean, obviously for a lot of Christians, it is. Is that the most important issue, or was it a litany of issues for you that?
Well, and I won't say that's and I'll let Ty talk. I won't say that's the most important issue. Like the most important issue, honestly, is just like pushing transgender into like schools and stuff, because that's kind of a big thing that's happening right now. And as a person who's about to have a little girl, like,
heck yeah,
I don't want any of that stuff in the school. And like honestly, we plan on homeschooling till high school.
Yeah.
But I think there's a fundamental problem with that. You literally put sinful literature on purpose, like
it's preying on young people.
It's a lot.
It's on the same level almost as is normalizing pedophilia. It's like these things are actually preying on young people, and now we're calling good bad and bad good. It says
the guise of love everybody, love everybody.
Yeah, which is just nuts, because it also distorts the true meaning of love. And of course, we see what love is at the cross. So it's so sneaky, and it's not loving. Being nice and being accepting isn't equal to being loving. Sometimes you genuinely love someone and you have to tell them something that risks a friendship with them or something, but you do it because you care about them. True love has a backbone, So Ty, okay. Abortion, important issues. What is it for you?
I just think overall Kamala's distaste and dislike with anything to do with Christians, it seems it was pretty apparent up through just all of her election cycle. But when she explicitly said to the guy who claimed Jesus was king that he's at the wrong rally, like that was absolutely nail in the coffin for this year's election.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I hadn't even really considered that. I was just like, par for the course. But if you're not even, I mean, that's the opposite of what most liberals would say they are, which is, inclusive of everyone. Now, look, here's the thing, man. I've got a lot of liberal friends, and I think that we should be able to get along with most everyone, unless it's like hardcore, like, oh, hey, there. Speaking of liberals, what's up, Pat Lang? Now he says he's not a Democrat. Pat's actually very likable. He's in that. I can't talk about that. Never mind. But Pat's very likable and reasonable. It's ever since he dropped
put it in the private chat.
No, it's not a big deal. But okay. Pat, ever since he dropped the DD and the little picture he had before, I feel like he's been more reasonable. I love you too, Pat. What was I going to say though? Okay.
Is he the Daily Doses guy?
What is it?
Or is it somebody different? Daily Doses, like 12 daily doses or something like that.
I don't know. He was Pat. Yeah. Pat Lang DD or something. Yeah. He's the one always arguing with Savan, but he was on the political show, like live. He's extremely likable. He just honestly, you know what he does? It seems to me he plays the devil's advocate on purpose, and it's entertaining because then Savon goes off.
Well,
Yeah,
to his comment, you can read that one before. He says, "How many of you have been pregnant before? I don't need to be pregnant to say that murder is wrong." It's
Hey, so I have a question. How about this? The difference between Christians and non-Christians, right? Like Pat doesn't claim to be a Christian. So I actually put Pat in a different category. I'm like, I get it, dude. Like we're starting at a different base level here. Like you're starting at this, I'm starting at that. It's going to change the way we think about things. I have yeah, it's true. Hey, I have a thing. I have a question. Like when we're in the church, what do you think if like your boy or like somebody at church, when you got people going to the same church as you, worshiping Jesus, all that stuff, and they are like, I'm voting for Kamala. What are your thoughts on that? Is that just incoherent with Christianity to you, or in your head, you just think they probably just don't know the Bible that well compared to what the candidates are talking about? Or do you think it's just, yeah,
I would just show them the clip of her at her rally.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I feel like, I mean, I've been a part of one election, so I obviously don't have the experience or that you two do, but that was absolutely a massive red flag for any Christians who were going to vote blue this year. Yeah, I would just show them that clip. Like it's hard when she takes your entire, obviously, like someone who follows Christ, that's what you base your life around and what we're called to base our life around.
Yeah.
And she says, take this to the other rally because this isn't what I stand for. Then it's like,
yeah,
well, you just told me who to vote for. I mean,
yeah, and this right here, like Troy, maybe I don't take it seriously enough. He says, if you don't protect the first and second, you'll be reading the KJV and hiding. And I'm almost like, yeah, we're really far from that. But I think it'd be foolish not to keep those things in the back of our head, because obviously there are countries that are, well, some countries can't at all, like North Korea, but other countries are becoming very restricted in what you can and can't say. So while I'm not like afraid of the boogeyman, I don't think we're close to that. I do think that should be a huge consideration in our vote and who the Supreme Court justices are and things like that. What about, do either of you guys have any thoughts on like immigration and Christianity? Because this is the biggest thing I hear from actual Christians in California who are like really solid people, and like they read their Bible and they're all about the Bible, all about Jesus. And one of the issues for them in California, particularly, being so close to the border, is that they genuinely want to love people who are coming in. Even if you've got like illegal people here, you end up getting to know them. They go to your church and stuff. And I think they have some difficult time separating that. How do we think about immigration as Christians? John, you got one for immigration? If not, I can go too. Unless Ty, you're ready.
Illegal immigrants?
So what I was saying is in California, it's like the big thing, right? You're close to the border. I know legitimate Christians, like ones who like help mentor me in areas of like, for instance, shepherding my family, like getting in the word every day with your family, all that sort of stuff. Solid. But then right around like 2018, 2020 COVID, there was a huge shift. And one big issue for them is like immigration. They feel like we're not being loving when we're just booting people out, things like that. Now, I understand them not liking Trump's rhetoric, the way he phrases things, but as Christians, what should we think that we should do with immigration?
I feel like there's a legal way to do things. As Christians, you're called to abide by the law.
100%.
Like
right?
You're supposed to give to Caesar what is Caesar's. You're supposed to abide by the law in your country. That is the law in our country. Like, I think if you come across the border illegally, you should be sent back.
Is there a way to do? Yeah,
that's not unloving. You committed a crime. That is the punishment of law. I don't even think religion comes into it.
It's a good point. Hey, if anyone in the chat,
you committed a crime. If I go out, and it doesn't matter what religion, it doesn't matter. If I go out and I rob a grocery store, rob a convenience store, a gas station, put it like gunpoint, right? Are you supposed to show me love and say, "Oh, you're okay. You only did it once. We got you. No, you're supposed to be loving, but I literally committed a crime. I should go to jail.
Yeah.
That's what the law is there for.
Agreed. So I was actually looking this up in Ezra and Nehemiah, where they rebuilt the temple, because I'm reading that right now. They had walls, right? Remember the walls of Jerusalem? Like they literally had walls. And so in the Old Testament, and I know that the Old Testament laws aren't particularly applicable, but all of Scripture, it says, is God breathed and useful for teaching, rebuking, training in righteousness. I missed something there. But anyway, it's all useful, right? And so in the Old Testament, we see principles of a nation under God's rule, and they literally had guards, they had armies, and they had walls. And the reason was because there were people on the outside who weren't good people, who didn't want to live under their laws, but wanted to do harm to them, right? And it's no different here. There's nothing wrong with, in my opinion, with immigration. There's nothing wrong until you get to the point where you say, I don't want anybody coming in here. Just, let's just keep it the way it is. I think it's okay to let people come in here, particularly legally when they're seeking asylum and things like that. I don't think you should automatically get asylum. Do you guys know about that? How they just, if you say you're doing asylum, somebody in the chat will know, but I think they just let you in while they figure it out or something. They don't like check up on it at all.
So I mean, like, for as far as people seeking asylum, like, you can't. Okay. So any freaking drug dealer can just say, I'm seeking asylum. No, all this horrible stuff is happening. And now they're in our country free, and we're not going to follow up on it. So, like, I get what y'all are saying. What about these people, right? Like, you want to pick the worst thing and say, what about these people? Like, we should be loving to these people. But if that means you're bringing harm to far more people than what you think you're helping, that's not good. And then, like, I feel like there should be a way to where, like, if somebody's seeking asylum, then we have like a place that all of those people go. You know what I mean?
I was thinking the same thing.
And I don't know what that looks like. I don't at all.
Yeah.
But if we have, I know some people call it like an internment camp, but I feel like that sounds bad. But like, you just have a place where all of the people who are seeking asylum go, and then there are steps that they go through to actually get into the country, or citizenize themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or they have to go through steps to actually get a home or something here that outside of wherever we decide to put them.
Sure. So Kenneth, I was bringing up. Go ahead, Ty. Go ahead.
There are asylum laws in place. I think one in the late 60s and then maybe another one in the 80s. But it's essentially like you can apply for affirmative or defensive asylum. And so there are provisions in our government where if people are coming in and they're trying to cross and they don't have a visa or citizenship, they can be like, I am fleeing from Ukraine. It's really bad over there. And they'll be like, all right, we're going to let you in, but we're going to take some information, try to keep in touch with you. The other one is they get into the country without people knowing. And then when they're going to be deported, they can pull out like the defensive card and be like, I'm just using Ukraine as an example because it's off the top of my head, but I'm here from Ukraine. We're planning on staying till the war's over. And then same process. They're going to take information. Whenever that chills down over there, they're probably going to go back and check up on them. But there are provisions for those seeking asylum in the States.
Yeah. Okay. So, Kenneth, the people ask the questions. This one came up, immigration. So I was talking about Christianity and all the Christians I knew in California who, some of them like actually legit, not just like, yeah, man, I'm a Christian, who at least didn't vote Trump, and some actually voted Democrat, and immigration was a huge issue for them because they had relationships with immigrants and they felt like certain things were unloving. Heidi, I want to get to, what was Heidi talking about? I don't want to ignore her. So, okay, I see. Would the Lord send them back if they're escaping abuse? No, I agree. But here's the thing. It's like, okay.
But then everybody can just claim that, Heidi. And there's more bad people than there are people escaping abuse.
I've got a verse. So Jesus said, to be innocent as doves and wise as serpents, right? It's like if somebody shows up at my house in the middle of the night and says, I'm fleeing abuse, I'm going to ask a few questions first because my family's in there. This is like my home and I'm a gatekeeper of it. My demeanor is one of love, meaning I'm going to be willing to help this person if they need help, but I have a second responsibility, which is to protect the people behind that door. I think it's the same way with our country, right? Like we should have an attitude of being willing to help anybody who's like escaping abuse or like if somebody came from North Korea, yeah, we need to help them, but we still need to verify. Trust but verify, right? That's what they say at my job.
Heidi, I know that the 4 years that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were in power, the amount of crime that happened from people that were illegal was like 10 times the degree when Trump was the years previous. And I don't know where I know that's a fact somewhere in some census book, but I don't know. But I know for sure that that's the truth.
Did you almost say thesaurus?
I did almost say thesaurus. I was looking for the right word.
Yeah. See, Pat's all about.
I'm not Charlie Kirk. I don't have my exact sources on it like that. But like the amount of crime committed by illegal people, like we know that they're illegal because they don't have papers or whatever. Is like an infinite amount of more than it was whenever Trump was in office.
Okay. If anybody in the chat wants to get any numbers on that, feel free. Okay.
I think the argument y'all are using for letting everybody in, they're escaping abuse. They're escaping abuse. Like you're just going to turn those people away. Like Jesus wouldn't turn those people away. Like you're using the same excuse or the same reasoning of what about the girl that was raped when she was 13 by her uncle? You're going to make her have that baby, like for abortion. You're using that same argument. It's like you're going to use the 1% that's terrible to justify the 99% that's not.
I would like to hear in the comments what Heidi, what you are suggesting, because the only thing I could suggest, I don't always know how to carry it out. But like I said, having an attitude of helping absolutely everybody that we can who is legitimate while still, trust but verify, so that we're not letting people in who are going to do harm to those we're called to protect.
We should never let anybody in our country that we don't 100% can confirm that they haven't committed crime somewhere else.
Yeah.
And until you can 100% confirm that, they should not be let in. Period.
I don't know which point he's talking about.
Thank
you, Pat.
Either. I don't think that's a big fan of mine, but thank you, Pat.
No, that's not true. That's just how Pat talks. Pat's a good guy. He likes everybody. Okay. So
if it's the 12 Daily Doses guy. He said bad things about me before.
Oh, okay. All
but I don't know if they're the same guy.
I just know he was Pat DD. I didn't know if he was. Did he have like a thing?
Never sinned and committing a crime is highly different, Heidi. Like you're being ridiculous right now.
Yeah, Heidi, I agree on this one, and I love you, Heidi. I do agree. Did she? Oh, okay. I thought she deleted it. It just went down. Yeah, no, it's not. That's not what it is. It's not about sin. It's about we welcome sinners here in the United States. There's a different category of people. There are people out there who would come into my home and harm my family. There are people out there who would come into this country.
Yes, it is different. It is different. Because if you commit a crime, it says in the Bible, you break the law, you deserve the punishment.
Yeah, I agree. Where is it? Wait,
it is different. You broke the law, you should get punished. It is different.
Romans 12 NIV. So this is a great point. Was it Romans 12 or Romans 13?
I think it's 13. 13, 1 and 2. I was looking
at this. It couldn't be more clear. It's great. Man, I'm glad that that's working because you're way better at this than me. Okay. So it says, is it 13 or 14? Okay, here we go. Let everybody be. So Romans 13 says, let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment on themselves. For rulers hold no terror for those who do right, but for those who do wrong. Do you want to be free from fear of the one in authority? Then do what is right, and you'll be commended. For the one in authority is God's servant for your good, but if you do wrong, be afraid, for rulers do not bear the sword for no reason. They're God's servants, agents of wrath to bring punishment on the wrongdoer. Now, I want to point one thing out about that. It says that the government wields the sword, and so that if you do right, you don't have to be afraid, and if you do wrong, you should be afraid because they punish people. That is a proverbial statement, meaning that it's not saying that 100% of the time, every single time the government has got it right. They've exactly punished the evildoer and they've done good to the one who does right. No, it's a general statement. It's a proverb, right? In the sense that in general, the rule is if you obey the laws, you're going to be okay. And in general, if you live a life of crime, you're not going to be okay. And so it says that God gives the government the sword in order to basically keep us in check so that we don't end up warring against each other and wiping ourselves out because we're all sinners, dude. So God's for law and he's for upholding that law is what I would say. She is good at playing the devil's advocate.
And that doesn't mean you can't have like a bad government, but whatever regime you are
good.
under, you should abide by that law. The Jewish people were under the Romans at the time. They hated the Romans.
Yeah.
They hated the Romans.
Great point.
Right.
That's a great point.
And then, and the Romans would make fun of them and they would make them do stuff that they didn't want to do.
They would whip them.
And they upheld the law.
Yeah. And then after Christ, you had Nero, who's the one who, you guys might have heard about this, but this is the persecution that Jesus warned of. But shortly after Jesus, while John was still around and Paul, I don't know if he was or not. But anyway, point being, around 70 AD, that was the destruction of the temple. And what Nero did, they think that he blamed the fire on Christians, but actually started it himself. And then he was using Christians as street lights, like human torches. So it all went to heck. And Jesus had talked about that persecution that was to come, specifically referenced that. So not only were they mistreated under Roman rule, but they would go on to be killed under Roman rule. And the government, our leaders have responsibility. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that is something that I wanted to mention. Theocracy. Okay, so what about separation of? We've done immigration for a long time here. Separation of church and state. Overrated, underrated. How should Christians think about that? Ty, you want to go first?
I mean, I definitely think it should exist. Just look at the Roman Catholic Church in Europe. I mean, that's starting as early as like the 1400s. I mean, when the Pope and the King are in coalition together, bad things happen because they control what religion is. And that's dangerous. The Pope being able to influence laws with the King. And that was when they were, trying to make sure there was only one version of the Bible and
that's right.
read this version. And that's extremely dangerous. And so I truly believe that our separation of church and state was meant to preserve the church from government corruption, not the other way around.
Yeah, and the one who wrote the statement, Thomas Jefferson, it was a letter to the Dansbury Baptist. By the way, separation of church and state, that phrase is not in the Constitution. It's a letter from Thomas Jefferson to the Dansbury Baptist, or the Danbury Baptist. And the reason the letter was wrote is because they were in Virginia, and it was, I believe, all Presbyterian. And the Baptists were like, hey, we don't want to have one government denomination, essentially, and then we're persecuted because we're Baptists, right? But they were actually all under maybe not all under the Christian umbrella. They were all deists and mostly religious, but a good bit of them were under the Christian umbrella. So the original statement does have to do with the intent of keeping the government from restricting the church, right? So I don't believe anything about that means you can't pray or talk about God. Jack couldn't make it tonight, and I decided he's going to be here anyway. So I don't think it has anything to do with, like, people complain when people like pray in office or when they talk about God in office. Here's the thing. We all come in with our biases, with our preconceived notions. When we're a politician, what is informing these decisions but who we are? If you are a Christian, you can't separate that from the office that you serve. It's impossible to do. That's my thoughts.
John, you look like you had something to say like a minute ago.
Do you think the Catholic Church is bad?
I definitely think throughout history it's had its faults, and I'm not a fan of some of the stuff the Pope has said recently, but
Just in general.
as far as the Catholic Church as a whole, I can't speak for that. I feel like you can pinpoint.
I don't want to put you on the spot.
No.
Yeah.
I feel like you can pinpoint extremists in any denomination or people who are slipping up in any denomination. But yeah, I to answer that question, throughout history, I feel like the church in general has done some very bad things. And the Roman Catholic Church being one of them.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of just the idea that the Pope has the authority to talk to Jesus, and I don't think that's the way.
Yeah, look, there's Catholics that I like.
I think we all have a relationship with Jesus, and I feel like putting your faith in somebody that's not Jesus is a problem. I'm not saying like if you're a Catholic, like you're going to hell. It's not what I'm saying, but Catholicism it's very easy to works get you to heaven rather than a relationship with Jesus gets you to heaven.
Yeah,
at least from my point of view, I feel like.
I see what you're saying. He's talking about the pedophiles. Yeah, I agree with you there, Pat. Look, what I separate is. I'm not Catholic. What are the ideals of Catholics? Like if they're out there and they're saying, hey, we should have, if they're against abortion, for instance, I'm against abortion. So I think that's a good thing. And I support that. It doesn't.
Bernie, you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
They didn't carry out their values. Hey, so be religious all you want. You can't govern with it. Yeah. I don't necessarily disagree with this one, Pat. I'm not saying that we go up there and say, some people differ. There are Christian nationalists, Christians, actually not extremists, that are good people who I think are slightly off in this. So here's what I don't think you can do. I don't think you go up and say, all right, guys, let's get ready to set the laws here. Let me just go to the book of Leviticus, and this is what I want the laws to be. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying, Pat, is that the reason why, as a politician, I'd be against abortion is because of my faith in Christ. I can't separate the person, me, and being a politician from my Christian faith, just like you can't separate whatever your background is. So whatever your core belief is, whether it be evolution or something else, it affects other beliefs, and you would take it in with you to office. So I think you can be a Christian in office, and it can absolutely should affect your decisions without going in and saying, all right, now we're going to get Leviticus and the whole country has to obey this. That's kind of an extreme example, but I think for me, that's the difference.
I answer this one.
All right. I like that. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Is there a time frame or situation for you agreeing?
Pat's gonna love this
with abortions. I would say the only time that I think it's okay is if it threatens some mother's life, and that's the only time.
And I haven't even thought about that one, so I don't know the answer to that.
And I understand.
Yeah,
I understand a lot of people probably feel a different type of way. That's what I believe. I don't think it's a sin for another sin does not equal any type of good. It's murder.
Yeah, I've actually talked with Pat about this one a little bit the other day. It was kind of indirect, but on the 20 weeks thing that he said, here's the thing. So I provided this to Pat and some other people, but if you look up the government, and what they list is all the different institutions, the educational institutions, and the leading, medical people. What are they called? Pat knows because I provided it. But this is literally from the government. It was like 99.5% of them established that human life begins at conception. The reason being, if you think about this for a second, when you ask people who are for abortion, when is it okay to abort a baby? Most of them are going to have a different answer. They say, well, when it can feel pain or this or that. It's always subjective. To me, the only things that aren't subjective that are very clear are you can abort this baby all the way up until it's outside the womb and viable without a mother, or just outside the womb. Let's say that, or it's at conception. for me, there's no in between. Those are the only two that logically make any sense to me. What did
I
Ty
agree.
answer? Ty didn't even talk.
I
Ty, so you
think
got
he's
mad.
abbreviated. Thank you.
Oh, okay, I got it.
That's him.
I saw one up here. Oh wait, where was this? Is it? What's your definition of worship? No, not indulgences were crazy. I understand. Yes, I understand that. So they've got the sacraments. There's like 7 sacraments, and the difference between the Catholic faith, and I'm not dogging you at all here, Bernie. I don't even know if people say dogging anymore, but so in the Catholic faith, you come into the faith and you are safe at that moment, right? But then you have to maintain that safeness in your relationship with God by continuing in the sacraments. And you've even got purgatory thrown in there. Whereas if you didn't do enough or just weren't, didn't confess things or whatnot, you have to go to purgatory, this temporary holding place, in order to get to heaven. And what obviously evangelical, I guess, Christians believe is that you're justified the moment you truly put your faith in Christ. So if you trust in Christ for salvation, you're justified. You are right with God forever. And then, of course, the argument is, well, if people are just saved, then they can go do whatever they want. And some people do that. And I would argue that they didn't really put their trust in Christ. Because once you understand it, you don't want to go do. It's not that we don't go do sin sometime, but you stop wanting the same things that you did before when you put your faith in Christ truly and see what he did for you. So there is I agree. It's not just as simple as work salvation. They do believe in faith, establishing that initial relationship with Christ. But then there are matters of the church that you have to participate in order to essentially maintain that salvific state with God. So your salvation can ebb and flow in that sense. There's not the security there. In fact, it says, let anybody who says salvation is by faith alone be anathema in their official book thingy. Anyway.
And I just, there's a lot of tradition in the Catholic Church, a lot of tradition. And it's not like just the Catholic Church. Like you could choose any church, but like there are just so many people that like they go to Sunday, they go to church on Sunday, they do Bible study before church, and then the rest of the week they do whatever they want. Like it's not, and they think they're good. Like these people are not
with
right.
American Christianity.
They're not true Christians. These people are not true Christians. Those people are they're not going to go to heaven. And
those people ruin the image of Christians for the rest of America.
And if you see somebody like that in your church,
this is what I'm talking about, Pat. I was confirmed. I'm good. That's not.
No, I don't. I don't actually think. I don't think he meant.
He,
I was confirmed. Careful. I know more. I don't think he's saying he's good. I think he's saying he went through the
confirmation.
Classes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
But that's what I'm saying, though. You do the classes, you get confirmed. Now you're good. Now you relive the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm saying. And like regular, or people who like Christians that just go to church, Protestants.
I would do that. Oh,
like Protestants are the same way, but it's just in a different form.
100%.
I think it's very easy for the Catholic Church. Like you get confirmed when you're 13, and then you go do the rest of your stuff. I know so many people that are their families with the Catholic Church, or they're Catholics, right? And
not yet.
You don't truly know if anybody's saved, but like you see it by what they do. You see their faith by what they do, and so many people get confirmed. And they just did classes. It's easy to get classes. I got a nursing degree. I'm not a nurse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's that's what it is. Like you see what I'm saying? Okay. I mean, Pat's a great example then. I was confirmed. I'm not a believer in God at all.
Why? It's not ignorant saying they're not going to heaven, because Pat, wait, on this, you're saying, gosh, I'm letting Pat play
if you don't believe in God,
I feel I feel famous right now because
you believe you're going to heaven, even though you don't believe in God. You don't
feel
believe
like
in heaven,
Spawn.
right? If you're atheist,
I'm arguing
you don't
with
believe
Pat
in heaven,
Lang.
but you saying they're not going to heaven is incredibly ignorant. If you don't have a relationship with God,
if you don't believe in God, I wouldn't say that.
Then you're not.
Yeah. So I mean, Christians believe that Jesus is here's why, because we're all literally sinners. We compare ourselves to each other and we're all sinners. So we're like, oh, well, I'm better than that guy. I didn't do this or that. The Bible says, like, and just imagine this for a second, what the earth was supposed to be like. I know talking about heaven and the earth before sin and all this is kind of weird, but listen, just everything bad comes from our selfishness and our sin. Like wars are started by that, cheating on each other and families broken apart. All strife is caused by the sinfulness that humans have. And the original intent was that wasn't there. Like we didn't have a sinful flesh. We didn't have this pull towards what is rebellious and bad. And that's what heaven is supposed to be like. So here's the thing. If heaven is where there's no more sin, no more death, no more mourning, and it's this place where there's no more hurt anymore, the problem is if you put sinners in heaven and you allow sin there, it's going to be the same as earth.
My way is the Bible, bro. That's what it says. It says the only way to heaven is through me, is through Jesus Christ. That is the only way.
You know what, Pat? I will have you on sometime.
There is nothing you can do to earn heaven. I don't care how many classes somebody takes. You can get confirmed 4 times over. The only way to heaven is through Jesus Christ. And if you do not have a relationship with him, you're not in. You're not. You don't have it. And you think you do, and that's bad. And I don't. It's not just Catholics. Like it's just like what Ty said. This is the worst thing that goes on in Christianity. Is just people thinking they're good. They said a prayer. They asked Jesus in their heart, and now they're good. That's a problem. And what I'm saying is, I think it's easier to have that mindset in Catholicism than it is for Protestants. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's
I think it's both, personally.
Maybe that's an ignorant statement. But Catholicism, they get confirmed, and they have classes. They have their traditions. You know what I mean? Like it sets it up for that. Does that make sense? But
yeah, no, I agree. It's the same in both, but one
is to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. That's not my way. It's the freaking Bible. And if you don't,
let's just start at like
you don't. No, Grant, stop. If you don't believe in that, if your core beliefs don't come from here, you're not in. You don't know God.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you this because I want you to know him. It's not me. I want you to know him.
Yeah,
Jesus loves you. Even though you don't love him, he loves you.
Yeah.
And this is the only way. This is the only way to him. There ain't nothing else. Nothing.
It does say while we were
nothing you can do.
That's more passionate than I've seen John about CrossFit. It says while we were yet sinners, he died for us. So like, it's so hard. I understand why it's offensive because it says we're bad. But here's the thing. We're talking about like, why wouldn't you want God to be like this? We're talking about a God, a Godhead, right? Because we believe Christ is God, who literally gave himself up for the people who put him there and who spit in his face. And when I think about it, I think about all the things I've done, even like as I knew Christianity and wasn't a Christian, and even as a Christian, the times that I betrayed him, right? We've all committed a sin as a Christian or struggled with something and had to repent. Like we just straight up knew what we should have done and we didn't do it. We sinned. We're like, I betrayed you again. This is a God who died knowing all of that ahead of time in our place so that we could receive the perfection of Christ, so that when we stand before God, one day when there's a judgment, we aren't claiming our own good works. Like I did this, and that. We're claiming the perfection of Christ. As a substitute, it says he who knew no sin was made to be sin in our place so that we could become the righteousness of God through him. That's 2 Corinthians 5:21. He who knew no sin, Christ, was made to be sin on the cross. God treated him like he was the sinner, as sin. He who knew no sin was made to be sin in our place so that through him we could become the righteousness of God. We become righteous through Christ. It's like Bible 101.
I'll do you one better. Like Bernie, there's a lot. I agree with a lot of what you say, but you are interpreting the scripture personally. Many others disagree with your interpretation. Okay, so that's fine. Maybe you're right, but Romans 9:10. Okay, Romans 9:10. And this is Paul talking to the Gentiles. Guess what? We're Gentiles. We're not Jewish. We're
Yeah,
Gentiles, right?
100.
This is Paul talking to Rome, basically us. This is what he would say to us. If you declare with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. Now, you tell me how I'm interpreting that any type of different way that it should be interpreted. It's not. That's the truth. The word is the truth. And Jesus is the word. John 1:1. How am I misinterpreting that too? Tell me how I'm misinterpreting that, because I think that's utter BS.
So Pat, the problem with this is, and I know you're popular, so you'd have to agree too. Maybe we will have you on sometime, but
there's not room for adjustment. Jesus Christ is the New Testament.
Yes, yeah. So look, here's the thing. I love the Old Testament. I read it all the time. I think I could put up a great argument for the congruency between the Old and New Testament. The problem is that it's very difficult, when people are typing messages on here and we're talking. That would probably have to be more of a one-on-one interaction, but I will go there. But you just said Catholics go to church on Sunday won't go into heaven. Why do I feel like John should be a pastor? Yeah, did you ever want to be a pastor, John, or no?
No, I've never wanted to be.
It says they'll be judged more strictly.
I've had like a few people tell me that, like,
yeah,
I could
see it,
but I don't.
I mean, you have the vocal gift for sure, but no, I mean, yeah, you gotta have the desire too. All right, Ty, I want to make sure you
talk well enough.
Yeah, I want to. I thought you were gonna say I feel like I don't talk enough.
Well, no. Well. Instead of you know what I'm saying, I'd be like, "Can I get an amen?" Like if I could replace those two, then I'd be all right.
Yeah. You'd be good. All right, Ty. Before we get everybody out of here, because I am going to be late for helping my wife here. What was the last one I had here? I guess I just got all thrown off. I can't go back to politics now. Let's do one more question. Let's get Ty in here since me and John just went off.
Oh, I like it. He's cruising.
No, it was great. Do we have anything else? We went from immigration to abortion to how are you saved? That's good, though. That's what it's supposed to be. This is the Bible study podcast.
That was exactly the path that we were trying to take. That's what we talked about before the
podcast.
This is the path.
This is if we just say this, and this. That's
Can
the
you pull
funny
up
thing.
Pat's comment from 8:27?
Sure.
The but you just said.
But okay, yeah, sure. Let's get Ty in there.
I just want to say, like, just to back up John here, he's not saying all Catholics who go to church on Sunday won't get into heaven, but the ones that believe that they are saved by rituals rather than faith in Jesus alone, that there's nothing we can do to earn that salvation that he gained us by dying on the cross. There's no works we can do. That's prideful thinking that we can work our way to heaven. That's what he's saying. He's not saying every Catholic's going to hell, because I believe that the Catholics who put their faith in Jesus and believe that that's how they get to heaven are going to heaven just like any other Christian, or not any other Christian. There's a lot of Christians who will not go to heaven because they don't understand that Jesus is the only way we get to heaven through putting our faith in him. So I did want to clarify, because I don't feel like that comment represents how John explained it earlier.
Nice.
I feel like it was. People just like to put words in my mouth. It's not the first time.
I do. It's funny. I notice, like, because people do that, I even have to be careful when I mess around, like, in the comments about, like, that's what I said, John, about that bet and stuff like that. Like, I'm messing around and you're like on edge because everybody's putting words in your mouth. I'm like, I better back off and just making stuff up.
Kenneth, yes, they believe Mary was sinless. And that's something that I struggle to find evidence for in the Bible, but that's a whole other conversation.
Praying to her as well. Pre-trib versus post-trib will probably never do, Kenneth. I'm sorry. I just don't care that much. It's like, it's low down the list. I have studied it. But yeah, no, what we're going to do is, it was really hard to do it every week, every other week. Since we had an election, I wanted to do one based on that. It's really fun to get Christian CrossFit people together to talk about the Bible. These are some guys who carry the same beliefs as me, and the chat's been awesome. I love talking about this stuff. So I want to do something for, I don't know, Thanksgiving, Christmas, something. We will figure something out. we will get to get. It's not better than this podcast, but thank you. I feel famous just because I'm arguing with Pat Lang, like Sevon always does. But no, I love it, guys. Seriously, chat's awesome. We will be back. Usually, Jack will be with us, not just his picture. He had something come up at the last minute. That's pretty much it. Anything else to close out, guys? Are you good?
No, I just left this podcast more angry. So,
All right. Later, guys. Thanks. I appreciate y'all.